Go on, game. Give me control. There we go. I was just in the game to do some audio tests. Hello. Welcome to my stream of the Forgotten City, where we are continuing to forget the city. Which I actually might have forgot a little bit. It's been a couple of days. I should have got myself way more comfy than I have before hitting the start stream button, but there goes the problems of streaming. Hi. Hello. Is that okay? I think so. I've had a bit of a nightmare getting the audio set up. I've done like loads of recording, I think, since last time I streamed. And it means that I've sort of set it up slightly differently, so I found it really hard to sort of get back to where we were.
You're coping.
Julia, yes I am. So we wanted to speak to Ulpius, because he might know something about Scintilla? Scintilla. Can we talk about Scintilla?
Scintilla and I were in love. And then, 22 days ago, she went missing.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
All right. One night a few months ago, when I was cleaning Malleolus's villa, I heard a young woman singing. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard. I wasn't allowed out, so once everyone else was asleep, I climbed up the inside of the villa and onto the roof. Just
Very
to
Romeo
see
and
where
Juliet
that
of you.
sound was coming from, and that's when I saw her. Standing in the garden of the magistrate's villa, I just sat there on the roof, listening to her with my chin on my knees. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. And then she looked up and saw me, and she smiled. I knew at that moment the fates had brought me to her, and from the moment she asked my name with this warmth and curiosity, I knew I'd have done anything for her. And so for
A romantic.
weeks on end, each night I'd climb out of the villa and into her father's garden. We'd hold hands and talk about all the things we'd do once we got out of here. Like having our own vineyard. And then one morning I woke up and everyone was out searching for her. They said she'd vanished in the night. All I could do was keep my head down and try to hide how beside myself I was.
I don't want to pressure him too hard. Is it possible she escaped somehow?
All I know is she loved me. And if she had known a way out, she would have told me. She'd never have taken her own life. And there's no way anybody could have killed her under the Golden Rule.
I don't know,
can't
Malleolus
prove it,
seems
but
pretty
I
good
just
at
know she's still alive somehow.
pressuring people into
Even
it.
now, it's as if I can hear her voice in my head, crying out to me. That can only mean one thing. Somebody abducted her. I have no idea how or who would want to do
Surely
something
that's
like
not
that to
okay
such a
against the
sweet,
Golden Rule either,
lovely
though.
girl. But what else could have happened?
Any ideas about might who have taken her?
I guess Malleolus had something to
We
do
need to
with
meet
it.
this man because he is
He's
kind of
without
underpinning a
doubt
lot of
the
what's gone
most
on
evil
here.
man I have ever known. I have no idea where he'd be keeping her, but there is one room in his villa, upstairs, which is always locked. I've never seen the inside of it, and I haven't been able to steal a key without breaking the Golden Rule.
Guess
But
who can
I
break
have a
it?
feeling that if you could get in there somehow, it would shed light on a great
Do you
many
know
things.
the funny thing is this Golden Rule being an exploration of good and evil almost. We break it a lot. We're sort of given on a loophole, aren't we? I'll get right
Let me
into
know
it.
what you discover.
I want to know more about you, Ulpius, though.
Shalom.
What's your story?
I mean, where am I from and all that? Judea, originally. But when I was a child, I moved to Rome with my family, Romanized my name, and spent most of my life in the Jewish district of Trans-Tiberim, across the Tiber from the main city. That's where I was when the fires broke out. Everyone was running toward the river, and I, listening to my inner contrarian, ran the other way.
Why would you do
Every
that?
road leading out of Rome was in chaos, full of people with all their belongings in carts and brigands preying on them. Several hours down the Appian Way, I saw another Jewish family being attacked by 3 opportunists. So I picked up a branch from the side of the road and went to defend them. I can only assume they got the better of me because the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a forest, by a river not far from here, with no memory of how I got there.
No.
It's strange though, because I still had my purse on me. Why would a robber knock me unconscious and throw me in a river, but not take my coins?
I mean, that is odd. Most of the others were in Rome before they woke up in the forest, but you were saying you were several hours away.
You're right. I always just assumed the river carried me, but I'm not sure I was anywhere near the Tiber when I fell. I'm sure it'll all make sense if we ever get out of here.
Do you know a way out
I
of here?
don't. But even if I did, I'm not going anywhere. I have unfinished business.
Well, let's help you finish that business. What do you think about the Golden Rule?
Well, neither of us have a couple of hours to stand around talking about theology, law, and collective punishment, so I guess you're looking for a pithy summary?
Yes, give it to me pithy.
You remind me of an old story from my people about Hillel the Elder. He was approached by a Gentile and asked to explain the entire Torah while he stood on one foot. Obliging, he replied, "What is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary.
Yes, the Golden Rule.
Go and learn." Of course, what I want to know is, what kind of a god sees a young woman abducted and does nothing about it? Not my god. That's for sure.
Good question.
Thanks.
He seems fairly set on this whole abduction thing of it. I'm guessing he's not voting for Malleolus.
Sentius, I suppose. I'd have to be insane to vote for Malleolus after what he did to me.
Fair enough. I'll be going.
All right, friend.
So I think it's time to go and see what's going on in Malleolus's place. Which we have to bribe this guy, don't we? Domitius.
Malleolus isn't receiving visitors at the moment, it being election day.
Yeah. About that tribute.
What have you got for me?
100 denarii.
What's it, Coolio mio? Just make it good.
Okay, how about 10?
Caput Murde, future es. Just make it good.
That's where he's swearing at me. Here's 1,000.
You must really want to see Malleolus. Let yourself in with this key.
I'm assuming that key's there so that we can always go back in.
Just make sure you give it back on your way out.
No. I think not.
Hey, you're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you?
Not really, no.
You'd be eaten alive. Little runt like you.
I thought the bottom part of his helmet was moving then. Whilst he was talking. Eaten by what?
Nobody's told you about Hannibal. Why do I have to do everything round here? So, there was this guy called Hannibal, right? Funny accent. Used to go down into the cisterns looking for junk he could clean up and sell. One day, a few weeks back, he comes out and tells me the cisterns are haunted. Said he could hear spirits wailing. Of course, nobody believed him, because who trusts a Carthaginian, right?
Right.
A few days later, he goes back in. And hours go by, and he hasn't come back out, yeah? So I go down after him, and it's dark. But in the distance, I can just make out his body, sprawled out on the ground. And hunched over him was something that made my blood run cold. No word of a lie. I saw a creature. Like the corpse of a man who'd been flayed. And it was eating Hannibal.
That also sounds like it breaks the Golden Rule.
Man, maybe. But I swear on my life this was no man. More like a Strix. Or some Versipelus that feeds on human flesh. I didn't stick around to see which.
What did you do?
Well, any sane person would have done. I legged it out of there and put a sign at the door to warn the others.
I'm still going to go down there.
A weapon? Well, It's your funeral.
Okay, I was just seeing if he was going to let me in there. Oh. Loading zone. Thing is, we can always run out, can't we? No, no, no. Stop getting distracted. We go and see Malleolus first. I want to know what's going on with him, and also if we can like grab a couple of keys from his place. I've seen these vines in a couple of places.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and
Where is he?
honored to have been elected your magistrate. Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm delighted and
Boo.
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute, so you must have been desperate to see me. Well, what do you want?
What's your story?
I'm Malleolus, and if it wasn't for this interruption, I'd be practicing my victory speech for the election later today.
What will you do if you win?
Glad you asked. I'll finally restore freedom to this city, just as I've been promising. These good people have suffered long enough under Sentius's tyranny.
How will you do that?
By declaring there's no such thing as the Golden Rule. It's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission. Wait, don't tell me you've fallen victim to that monstrous lie?
I've seen it happen, dude. What makes you sure it's not real?
The person making a claim bears the onus of proving that claim. Can you do that? Can you prove the Golden Rule is real?
I mean, it's hard to prove, but it's definitely real.
Nonsense. There's no way you can prove that. If it was real and you'd seen someone break it, then you'd be dead already.
Yeah, but time travel. What would it take to prove you it's real?
Surely, you're not one of those people who believes everything you read. As if a lie could be transformed into the truth by the simple act of writing it down.
No, I'm just seeing what it would take. I'm actually interested to see what he says here, because even if I can't prove it, if I'm right, then accepting it will avert disaster. If I'm wrong, then accepting it will make a city a better place. Isn't that a good thing? Because people seem to be living under reign of terror. It does exist. The Golden Rule is real. We've proved that. But it's not a happy place to live.
I disagree. I'll be guided by what is best for the city's people, and that means giving them the freedom to do as they wish.
I'm reliving the same day over and over.
What? Oh, I see what's happening here. Another poor, vulnerable soul taken in by Sentius's machinations. He won't get away with this much longer.
All right.
True, but that is simply because you are mistaken.
Do you know a way out of
I'm
here?
afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the best of it.
Yeah, you really are trying to do that, aren't you? What do you think of the Golden
You
Rule?
mean the children's fable exploited by Sentius to scare us all into doing what he wants? I trust
Bye
you
bye,
can
I'll be
see
going
yourself out.
Finish my cup of tea. I can't help but being a walking caricature. I thought that zip line came into his back garden then. I was like, ooh, we have a way of getting in. We don't. I wonder if we let Ulpius die
Still here?
and then come in here. Is he in this pool? Yes, I am. I won't be gone until I've thoroughly looked around your grounds and stole everything that isn't stuck down, so ignore me. I do quite like the architecture in these games. Carrots are purple as they were before modern carrots were cultivated to be orange. I think I've got some purple carrots in my fridge actually. No from Ulia. Julia to her captors Malleolus and Claudia curse you to the depths. By the time you read this, I'll already be dead, because death is preferable to another day in debt bondage to you. And he's just sat there practicing his speech. Not a nice man. Yeah, Ulpia saying the same thing. What? Just reading some suicide notes. Greek vase. That's one thing we know about the Romans, is they truly did love the Greeks. Shush you. You carry on practicing your speech. I'm just going to disappear around this corner. I wonder if that's painted on. I'm assuming so. Oh. Oh, that's not good. I will be back. I'm just making sure there's no other important things upstairs, is all. No. What do you reckon? Do you reckon it's Santilla? If it is, how has he not broken the golden rule? Or do you reckon it's his wife? Because we have never met his wife. Is it Claudia?
I'm not supposed to be in here.
Can we talk?
What business could you possibly have with me?
Why are you locked in this room?
My marital affairs are no concern of yours. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I know. What's your story?
I think the better question is, why am I being interrogated by a stranger who just barged into my villa? I have quite enough marriage trouble already, without having to explain to my husband why I am receiving strange men in private.
Do you know a way out of here?
The way you came in, by which I mean, please.
How many times did they have to write in, just get out of here? What do you think of the golden rule?
I think it's about to be broken if you don't hurry up and leave.
That's very good. I'll be going now.
Finally. This is outrageous.
I know it's outrageous, but just before I do go... No, too much has gone on in this world. I think we've got quite enough money already. I'm just going to take a break for a second. My phone's going, so I just need to take a call. apologies for that. Back to it. So, should we confront Malleolus about him locking his wife upstairs, though I'm sure it's his right of sorts.
Still here? You again. What is it now?
No, can't say
You
anything.
can see yourself out.
Okay. Right, we've got some rules here. So, point of origin. Right, okay. I didn't quite figure that out. We've got to try and create a paradox. If I prevent a sin that breaks the golden rule, then he'll never create the portal and it'll be impossible for me to be in the past. I don't think any of these are the correct person, but I wonder if we can just tell Sentius anyway to see what his reaction is. We'll go to Equation next, I think, because we've done a lot on that. Intruder. Okay, so we can tell Ulpius about Santilla. So I've not really looked at the quest log much. I've been just letting the game sort of tell me where to explore naturally. So I do kind of want to do that next, because we're kind of following that up. Okay. Water under the bridge. So Fabia can tell us that. We've got like a lot of loose ends from talking to everyone. Okay. So, Equatia then. We have a list of everyone here, don't we? Oh, that's owls. Citizen register, there we go. So Aurelia, we know. Claudia, Decius, Domitius, Dulius, Equatia, Fabia, Galerius, Georgius. Oh, yeah, he's the clothes guy. Hannibal's dad. Horatius. Yeah. I think. We've met the vast majority of people, I think. So let's go and speak to Equatia.
Arve. A new face. Arve, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia.
Yeah.
To what?
I've been asking people about how to wound up here, trying to find a pattern.
Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling me, but you've come to the right person. Did you find a pattern then? What have you noticed?
Some people mentioned a coin.
Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we?
Well, it's the woman, isn't it? But stranger on the riverbank.
Yes, I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else?
Memory lapses.
I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to
I was going to
encounter
mention the stranger.
forest before you arrived here?
I did, a young woman.
Did you happen to catch her name?
No, I didn't.
And was this stranger by any chance wearing a hood?
I believe so. She was wearing a hoodie. How could you have known
I've
that?
seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
It's not safe in there. An assassin just arrived.
What? Why are you talking to me instead of doing something about it?
I'm busy.
Please, go and stop him and come back to me once we're no longer in danger.
He just stands there, so you know. Right, so to follow that up, we have to get rid of the assassin. But he's pig-headed. Is there a nod to which way we need to go with the assassin? Intruder. No, nothing in the quest book, so who's Fabia again? That's Lucretia. Is it the lady who's scared? I think it might be.
Help!
Yes,
You have to do something.
because there's something to speak to her about as well.
In the baths. Real nasty sort. You have to.
I'll get right on it.
You.
Don't go in there.
Why?
I have a bad feeling about it. Perhaps saving before this might be an idea. We can try and use our superpower of saves. I do want to talk to you about what's happening with Virgil, though. I want to know.
Did you stop him?
Not yet.
What are you?
Do any of you guys?
Welcome to my Camby store. Greetings. I'm Georgie. My friend. I hope.
I'm just seeing if there's any options. I wonder if I can lure him into here. Ooh. Oil lamp suggests someone's been in here as well. I love a game when you poke at its peripheries, it gives you something. It's just like, ooh, well done for having a look. Yeah, that's the loading zone into the caves, which we've already learnt is a place that we can be exploring. I'm going to mosey down a bit further than I normally do, just in case there is something here. Greek lyre. I have a feeling there's a decent chance we'll get attacked by something down here, so... Someone has been coming down here, though. Is someone of our group carved this out, or was this here previously? Oh. There's a person.
You carry the gift of Prometheus in your hand. Remarkable. Welcome, welcome.
Who's this?
May I ask your name?
Yes.
Sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here?
Found this place by accident.
Then perhaps the fates brought you here to learn the secrets of this place. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I have been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical argument with somebody astute. I'm hoping that person is you.
I'll try my best.
Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god responsible for the Golden Rule?
Nope. Not yet.
You have much to learn.
I'd really like you to tell me.
Then you should speak with your contemporaries in the city. It is best if you come to this realization for your...
Eccentric bed in a bathtub. Isn't that Diogenes' trick? Sleeping in a pot like that. Going around in circles. So this man exists here to be your barrier to have you figured out the world yet, which I haven't. I wonder if I have to get the game to tell me explicitly.
Ah, you've returned.
Yes, but with nothing for you, I'm afraid. I'm just here to have a mosey around your home. And see if there's anything of value. So it's... the suggestion of that is it is a god of sorts, but it's just which one? Are we dropping frames? A little bit. Okay, that's enough prodding at this particular underwater cave. I would like to exit.
You carry the gift of
I know.
in your hand. Remarkable.
Up here and see where this goes. We've just been up here, haven't we? Yes, it drops back down, brings us in a circle. See, I wish I knew enough about the gods going in, because that would be of interest to see if you can get ahead of it. There is Midas, isn't there? I know it's not a god, but it's Greek myth turning people into gold. There's a connection between all the people having been returned in the river, but I don't think there's anything in that, because I can't see any connection between their actual stories themselves. Oh yeah, the assassin. Greek statue of a woman. Perhaps a local Greek knows more about her. Well, that is of interest. Still no further on this assassin thing. I am going to save because I don't particularly want to do a new day today. At this stage, I'd rather have a go at this and see where we can get to. Hello, assassin.
Stop right there. I'm looking for Tiberius. Ah, yes. Okay, I was wondering if we could persuade him to go into the statue room. Thank you. For your service to the Empire, I'll let you live for now.
My laptop has
but you
died.
best make sure our paths don't cross again.
It's not the most creative thing. I sort of said it when, as soon as I was thinking of all the components that are involved in this, that sending them into that would be the right way to go. Go on. Ooh, I might be able to get his bow now as well. Go into the thing. See, he's in there.
Curse you, cultist.
still feels like we did a kill. I'll have your bow. Oh! Execution of a courtesan named Quintius with different coloured eyes, which we now know Malleolus has. Interesting. Right, so, next, Fabia. I want to ask him about Virgil.
You there! I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice that fine bow you're carrying. No idea how you managed to get your hands on it, especially in the light of our dear old magistrate's ban, but I'm impressed. And before you ask, no, I wouldn't dream of trying to buy it from you. I have no use for a wooden bow myself. But I would like to propose a joint business venture of sorts.
Go on.
Do you have any idea how people here end up as golden statues?
The statues come to life and then fire golden arrows at them.
And here I was thinking I was the only one to figure it out. In any case, supposedly one or two of those arrows is enough to turn a full-grown man into gold. Now, of course, that is a travesty, a terrible, horrible waste of human life, which has to be stopped. And yet, I can't help but think of a tale told by that Greek fella Aesop, the goose that laid the golden
I'm not
egg.
giving you golden arrows, mate. You're a slimy, horrible person.
One could create infinite wealth. Use your imagination. Golden animals, insects, trees and plants. The Midas touch without the drawbacks. We are talking riches beyond imagining. And even if we were to split all those riches between the two of us, half of infinite wealth is still infinite. Interested?
Nope. I think the Golden Goose is meant to be a cautionary tale.
I might have skimmed over that one, but don't be so pedantic. Are you interested or not?
It sounds grossly unethical.
I'm not suggesting we use such a bow on people. There's no profit in breaking the golden rule.
Go on.
So the first question is, how do we get our hands on one of those golden bows? Now, I have a plan, but first, tell me, are you familiar with the story of the goddess Diana?
Not really.
No problem. Allow me to explain. Diana is our goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld, depending on who you ask. The one thing priests and poets agree on is that she carried with her a golden bow and a quiver of golden arrows. And it just so happens that there is a shrine of Diana in this very forum, with a prominent statue of the goddess herself. And would you like to guess what she's holding in her hand?
Bow.
Precisely. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent in that temple staring at it, trying to figure out how to retrieve it without breaking you-know-what.
But you want me to steal it?
No. If you tried that, we'd all be dead within moments, I'm sure. No. Here's what I propose. You give your bow to me, I cover it in a thin layer of gold leaf, and we create a replica of a golden bow. Then you enter the shrine, extinguish the braziers, and under cover of darkness, swap out the fake for the original. It's not theft.
A heist.
It's more of a trade. But make no mistake, this is a dangerous path, and there's no way of knowing where it will lead. But in my experience, all the best adventures begin with a risky first step. Now, you must have questions. Ask away.
Why can't I just take it?
The gods would see you, of course. Hence my proposal.
So we can kill someone in the dark. Why don't you do it yourself?
I'm more of an ideas man, whereas you're obviously the more resourceful and heroic type. I have complete confidence in you.
Isn't that extremely dangerous?
When Prometheus stole fire from the gods and became a hero to all mankind, do you think he was worried?
Didn't he have his liver pecked out? Yeah, punished for eternity.
He was silly enough to get caught.
That's all the questions I had.
You in, partner? If you don't like action or horror elements, feel free to decline. That's interesting. I like that as something, and that actually makes me more inclined to accept. Because I want to see what the action and horror elements are. I suppose we can say we're going to do it and just not. Wonderful. Now, if you'll hand over your bow, I can get started applying a layer of gold leaf. This is a quality weapon. Now, bear with me for a moment. And here we are, a gold leaf bow.
I suppose it can't harm too much.
Now I've gone and unlocked the Shrine of Diana for you, so as quick as you can, head on inside. It's just at the end of the street on the left. May the gods not watch over you.
Yeah, this feels bad. Honestly, the worst part of it is that we're doing it for Decius. Anyone else would be fine. Hello, Fabia.
You took care of him?
He had a tragic accident in that shrine.
Accident? So, it's over? Oh God, it's such a relief. I really thought we were all going to die.
Nope.
I do have a question though. That shrine, the one I was going to hide in, did you know it was going to collapse?
If I said yes, I'd be admitting to murder.
Oh, I see. I should probably keep my big mouth shut then. Sorry.
I'm doing something for the greater good,
Nobody
which...
else will
Ugh.
ever know what you did, but I know. That was really clever. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Oh, speaking of which, welcome. I'm Fabia. Sorry I was a bit frantic before. Need anything?
What's your story?
There's not much to tell. I mostly just bake bread and try to help out where I can.
How did you end up here?
It all started about 8 months ago. I was living in Rome with my family when I got sick. Terrible timing. My pa had just arranged a husband for me, a fisherman's son. I was about to meet him for the first time when I came down with an awful fever. I spent the next week in bed. Pa paid priests to make offerings to Asclepius, a white rooster, then a goat. But nothing worked. In the end, they decided I'd do better outside the city. Clean air in the countryside would do me good, they said. But after about a day in a carriage on the Appian Way, I was getting worse, not better. I remember closing my eyes for a bit, and I guess I must have fell asleep, because when I opened them again, I was in
They're
a
being
forest
abducted.
by a river. I suppose the driver took off with his fee and left me for dead. Can't say I blame him. I wouldn't have wanted to catch what I had either. Anyway, I went searching for
A lot of
help.
people have had
Stumbled
unfortunate
across the
situations that
Trapdoor
have
Temple
led them
and
here.
Here I am.
And most of the others were in Rome before they woke up in the forest, but you're saying you were a day's ride
Oh,
away.
yeah. I suppose you're right. Hadn't really thought about it. But the gods are mysterious and powerful.
Oh yes, they are.
Who knows what their plans are for us?
Do you know a way out of here?
You've been here a few moments and you're desperate to get out already? Why not give the place a chance before you try to leave?
God, you have just the upbeat, positive
Delirious works
attitude
hard
that
on
others
farms
don't.
so I can put food on our tables, and Lucretia tries to keep us healthy. My friend Georgius is always mending our clothes, and Virgil makes sure these old walls don't fall down around us. Well, he does his best. I'm just saying, there are worse places you could live out your days.
Fair enough. What do you think about the Golden Rule?
I try not to worry about it. I mean, if people are nice to each other, we won't have anything to worry about, will we?
I like your have you met people?
You're funny. I bet my friend Georgius will like you. And those interesting clothes of yours.
Oh.
I'm sure he'd love to chatter about the Golden Rule with you too. He'll be just across the forum in his shop.
Any idea who's threatening Virgil?
Terrible shame, that is. Maybe this'll help. Late last night, I was cleaning my oven when I heard some noises outside. The forum's usually dead quiet at that hour, so I came out to see what was going on. To be honest, I thought maybe poor old Dooley had got out of his cell and was snooping around again. So I popped my head out and saw someone in front of Virgil's shop. I couldn't tell who. It was too dark. I called out to them, but they just turned and ran off without a word. All I remember is they ran past a lit torch, and the light glinted off something metallic. Armour,
Is it
I think.
Rufius who wears the
I suppose it
armour?
could only be one of three people.
Oh, they all do.
Horatius, Domitius, or Rufius. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. I'll be going now.
All right. Thanks again for taking care of our problem.
You're just an incredibly sunny person about the fact that we may have conspired to a bit of light murder. So let's go to Acacia? Where's she gone? I want her to come to the baths. She seems to have done a runner. Well, I'll go and explore the baths myself.
How did you get in there, you cheeky little stirkers? If I copied it
Go away, Demetrius. No one likes you. Sat outside doing push-ups, trying to prove something to someone. Oh, aren't these magnificent? Ancient Roman mosaic depicting a godlike figure turning a man into gold. Midas. Was he a godlike figure though? Or is that just how these people have interpreted them all getting turned into golden statues? Oh. This is the up-to-date bathhouse. Very pretty. I also see those ladders over there. What's going on there? Oh, someone fell in the pool also. I wondered if we could get in and have a look at the mosaic like we could the other one, but apparently not. There's one thing I can't quite tell, is the town on a timer? You know, do we have a certain amount of time that we need to be considering here? I know the priestess, but where is she? Because is she on a routine where she's left her house, and are we waiting for the point of the golden rules to be broken? Certainly the way people walk around and go from place to place gives a sense of that. Oh, here she is.
I take it you've cleared the way to the baths?
Yes.
Follow me, but don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Of course, we don't want to stir up trouble. It is heist. That's the other thing I don't know. Is it the sort of game where you just do everything and tick all the boxes, meaning that we're gonna we want to get our bow, or not? I just don't like Decius either. I don't think you meant to like him. If you're going to point up to that big hollow chamber as where people fell in, we already know that.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out.
I've just looked at these.
If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it. Only, I think I know who that stranger is. Charon, the ferryman of the dead.
Oh.
Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless...
That's a cool twist.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
We're dead.
I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final
But then why
moments.
keep us under this torturous thing?
That the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
So we're dead.
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
What can you tell me about Charon?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman
I know a little
or
bit.
even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is
Mainly from the
different,
video game Hades.
whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
I feel even less like I should steal that golden bow now. Why didn't you all recognise Charon immediately?
The ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kamut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Interesting. Why are there so few people in this underworld?
Good question. Let's see. In the story,
Is it because we haven't paid up?
would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river, but that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Were you trying to keep this from me?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without
Yeah, I
your
don't
help.
think you would have.
I promise
I believe you. And that's all the questions I had. Oh,
But now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. And Aeneas, a Trojan
Aeneas is the only one I don't know.
Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape.
Oh, it was a Proserpina's shrine.
Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
Notice you seem uncomfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is
All
that?
Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us.
Why
You
then?
may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Okay. Tell me more about escaping with the help of Proserpina.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help.
Was
them
it
escape,
Aeneas?
and Aeneas
Is this
was
guy we
guided
met
to the
downstairs in the basement, the
Problem
person?
is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know.
How's
about
there
her
an
is-
assassin here as well?
It's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
So she might be willing to work against him to help
If the
us.
stories are true,
Which I suppose is the voice that we've been constantly hearing guiding us.
how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide.
There's a weird guy in the
I
basement.
suppose you've come across one of those in your travels.
I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then.
And you're only bringing this up.
It doesn't seem relevant.
Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
To be fair, it's pointed me towards the priestess a couple of times. Always the same voice, and she's helpful if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
Not yet.
Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth.
Can't we just escape the way we
It's a
came in?
reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
Tell me more about confronting Pluto head on.
Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
Hercules couldn't manipulate time.
You're telling me that you can. I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even...
I wonder if I shout his name outside.
I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base.
It's weird because Sentius obviously wants us to find out who breaks the golden rule, but
We removed them, and in doing so,
there is also all this.
and angered our divine keeper. If you
This feels more important.
replace all 4 of those
What can you tell me about the obelisk?
stone monument with, you'll find them all over Rome.
I'm skipping ahead because we kind of...
That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques.
where would I find the Roman plaque?
Question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it...
I don't think it'd be Georgius,
wanted
would it?
that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. they've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course,
Yeah, I know one. Don't worry.
Since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps.
Greek.
I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum.
Egyptian.
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, will be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room.
And mystery.
I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps the goddess will help guide you to it when the time is right.
Let's talk about something else. Right.
I would suggest not. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
I'll have a chat with Livia.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
Cool. So, some of the mystery's gone. I want to go and talk to the creep in the basement now, who's asking me where we are. Wade against the current. I mean, it's probably something to do with water, isn't it?
Isn't the great temple majestic?
Which was in here, wasn't it? Yeah, I certainly don't feel like stealing that bow anymore. That feels like a silly move, in all honesty. Now we're 100% sure that we're not in like the greatest place in the world. It's a good setting though, the sort of Greek and Roman gods, because most of their stories are morality tales of sorts anyway. So to be a part of one makes a lot of sense.
You've returned.
Ah, you've returned.
I will tell you everything I know. The one thing I long for above all.
Pluto, god of the underworld.
I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue?
Will you join me in an argument?
Wonderful. Then let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong?
I'm not sure. It's a complex question.
You're a thinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult.
It is.
Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable, because our mistakes rarely had consequences.
Or if they did, they were
So
unforeseen.
We lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong.
This guy likes the sound of his own voice. Whose version of right and wrong?
That is an excellent question, and it leads directly to my next line of inquiry. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing?
I mean, yes, the golden rule.
Let me guess. Is it yours?
No.
It is the mark of a civilized person to change their position when presented with a superior argument. My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong.
Fair point.
If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them.
You're probably not wrong.
We must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your question.
It's interesting because as a game, it's really hard to have a dialogue about these things. The game has to speak to you. They're objects of preachiness in some ways, aren't they? What's your story?
How did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story.
I'm listening.
I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night, I found myself in a tavern, in an argument with a...
Yeah, as I said, he loves the sound of his own voice.
It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I
Hence
woke up
being
on the
here.
banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death.
So you managed to avoid the Golden Rule.
So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny.
Hades, you mean Pluto?
They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades.
Why can't you return to the
My
surface?
generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again.
The Hermit Philosopher. Why can't you tell me your
I
name?
fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive.
It's great that you have the philosopher character who manages to avoid Hades' rule by hiding. Where is everyone
I'm
else?
afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair.
Yeah, there's no easy way to grow food.
Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years.
Is it a life worth living? How have you survived down
Living
here?
in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation. So I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But
You get a
like
bit
so
bored.
many things in life, arguments are better with a partner.
Yeah, you can only spend a certain amount of time arguing with yourself.
As you wish.
Do you know a way out of here?
If I did, would I be living like this?
What do you think of the Golden
Did we
Rule?
not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see. You're toying with me.
Do you know where I can find a plaque that was removed from the obelisk?
Seek the plaque bearing the Egyptian inscription.
That's
It
the
is
one.
a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you if Kabash had not already taken it.
Isn't he dead as well? Alright, tell me where Kabash is.
You may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that
Something Romans are well known for
Thus,
doing.
The shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans.
What does this have to do with Kabash?
I'm getting to that. You see, it was among these old Greek relics that I found the thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription.
How did that get
I
here?
had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest.
When you came across Egyptian things that you've built the Greeks on top of.
An even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage.
We'd
But
done it for
turns
the
out
Egyptians.
This game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail.
What's in there?
There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
I'll be
I
going.
enjoyed our chat, but please, keep my presence here a secret, yes?
Alright, I will. I wonder if that is... It's Diogenes, isn't it? Because of sleeping in that. I bet that's what that nod is too. What do we want to do now? We know why we're here. The plaques are obviously the way to go for confronting Pluto. I feel like we're basically bypassing a decent chunk of some of the story here. I want to talk to Livia. She seems like she's gone through a lot. Yeah, it seems that if you follow any one of the particular points to the end, you'll sort of slingshot yourself forward to the end game. I wonder if there's any value in tying everything up. I mean, there's always value in seeing all the story, but so it's Demeter. Livia is upstairs. I'm definitely enjoying this game. There seems to be a decent amount of things going on, and peeling back the layers in games such as this is always entertaining. I was getting confused at the Proserpina thing as well, and that's Persephone, which now makes more sense.
Hilarious. Horatius? Looking a bit troubled there.
Hi, Olivia.
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls. But it does not notice the crowds that come.
I figured out. I know where we are.
Say it. Speak its name.
The underworld.
Then it is true. I was right.
You were.
I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceiving myself. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the Metamorphoses by our great poet Ovid. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives. And still others.
I just wonder what the being able to start the time over again sort of represents. Because that's an oddity.
It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
Right, the other thing we know. I think what I'm going to do is do all the things that are of interest to me. I don't want to do the golden bow. Because even though time can start again, you know, when you're being judged by the gods, you should probably be careful about what you do. Time paradox. Might go and do that conversation with Sentius and start throwing around some accusations and see what comes of it. Yeah, I want to tell Ulpius about Centilla because that's a questline that I have interest in. I wonder where he is though. Also, I want to save because I know what this game's like about saves. You'll suddenly find yourself having to redo whole sections. I am still interested as well if the golden rule gets enacted or triggered at some point either. Because that's the very Outer Wilds sort of style. Where's Ulpius?
Isn't the great temple majestic?
Yes, Equatia. I do want to speak to... I had something for Georgius as well, didn't I? No, I don't have anything for Georgius. Where's Ulpius then? Sinner.
Sometimes I stare at the great temple on the bluff.
Oh, there is the Christian lady. That'd be something to talk to her. This game needs a way of like seeing where everyone's at, because I know where everyone starts, but I don't know where they end up.
Salve.
It's also of interest to me to see how we get into this great temple eventually. Yeah, there is these sort of zip lines and such, but right, where is Ulpius?
I hope you're
Oh, I do want to talk to her about some of the religious stuff she's been doing. She might have one of the tablets, so it's worth
Lovely to see
chasing
you.
up.
Can I help you with something?
I'm looking for a Roman flask that was removed from the
Even
obelisk.
if I had seen it, and I'm not saying I have, I couldn't in good conscience give it to you.
Oh, why not?
That's all I'll say.
Perhaps some... Oh, no, that feels horrible.
Ah, that's a shame. Another time then.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right, sort of bribing her with her own actual history. No, he's not up here. What is going on with these as well? Oh. I seem to have got myself in a place I didn't believe I should be. Again, I enjoy games that allow you to poke around the edges, but this does feel a little precarious. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, I'll take your money for exploration. Alright, yeah, so it just comes in here. I was wondering where that hole went. It seemed to maybe indicate like there was a part of this tower that we couldn't get up. I am pretty horrible at not getting distracted. Yeah, this is back where we, the Great Temple. Right, so. At least I know where I want to go. Yeah, it does lead me to believe that the Golden Rule will get broken because of the fact that people do sort of have these paths and end up in different places. It would make sense for them to be wandering around.
Shalom.
I got into Meliodas' upstairs room, but there's no sign of Santilla.
Really? I was sure he was hiding something in there. I feel like I've looked everywhere. At least everywhere I could get to. There are still two places I've never been able to reach. First, the palace. If Navia managed to get in, then I suppose Santilla could have too. The only other place she could be is somewhere in the cistern network. I remember hearing that Dooley had been poking around in the upper cistern before he was locked up. So you could ask him about it, I suppose.
Yeah. But then we have to manufacture an election.
All right, friend. Thanks for the chat.
Cheers, Ulpius. That's Vanishing Act. Where to go? Right, let's go to Sentius and perhaps look at turning people in.
I assume you already know. We have? I must have Is that a...
We've had this conversation too, I'm in a hurry.
Seems rather brash.
I was hoping to ask you some questions. Who's going to break the golden rule? I've already figured out how to stop at least one person from breaking it. What happens now?
Well, if you stopped one person from breaking it and you're still here, then there must be someone else about to break it still. Allow me to explain. When I discovered the ritual to Proserpina, the instructions came with a warning about paradoxes. The crux of it is this. If you do anything to change the course of history in such a way that your very being here is impossible, you will have created a paradox. To illustrate, when the golden rule is broken, I will open the doorway that will bring you here to prevent it from being broken. If you manage to succeed in saving our lives, then I will have no reason to open the doorway, and you will never have come here. A paradox. You see? The same thing would happen if you...
The thing that happens in Metal Gear Solid 3.
...allowed me to die. If I can't summon you, then you can't be here, obviously. If either of those things were to happen, I am given to understand you would be flung back to your original time, having changed...
So I could kill Sentius to get out of here, but that feels like the bad option.
So the fact that you are still here means someone is going to break the golden rule, and there is yet work to do. Understand?
I think so.
So it looks like you'll have to continue your...
Can we talk about who's going to break it? I think I know who it is. I don't think it is any of these people is a thing. Domitius is probably the most likely. I'm going to accuse one and just see what happens.
Why do you say that?
He's been soliciting bribes.
So I'm told. But while that is distasteful, asking for tributes is not uncommon, so I don't think it's going to break the golden rule. It looks like you'll have to continue. Of course.
I'm not sure. This feels like I'm
Thank you.
trying to pressure it. See, the one way we could get Malleolus to drop out is to get him killed. Assassins enter the city. I want to do that. Will that be under that golden rule thing?
Of course.
Virgil Sentia, Lucretia Galerius, Decius.
Why do you say that?
I'm gonna... He's price gouging?
Indeed. That is... Thank you for bringing this to my attention. It looks like...
So you have to put your foot down and say, yeah, it's going to be someone. I wonder if it's a game that like you can find evidence that is like concrete or not, or if we just have to kind of turn someone in.
Ask then. Good. Thank.
Why wasn't it not letting me behind closed doors? Upper cistern. So I can get Malleolus to drop out probably by dobbing him in as who he is, and then get Galerius in, and then get Dooley and get the key. Let's do that. That sounds fun. Malleolus? There he is.
You again. What is it now?
So you're Quintius. Oh, that's a good moment. Seeing his face drop like that.
Marcus Malleolus Gurgis. You seem to have confused me with someone else.
No, I haven't. You have one green eye and one blue eye, just like the description in this execution order from Emperor Nero.
You mean my heterochromia? I am guilty of nothing more than having different coloured eyes. And I'm hardly the only person with the condition. Alexander the Great had it too, as it happens. I like to think it is simply the way the gods have chosen to mark a natural born.
Yes, yes, of course you do. Apparently Quintius also suffers from delusions of grandeur.
Well, I am not suffering from any delusions, as today's election will firmly establish.
My mistake.
That's quite all right.
I might have made an enemy there. No idea whether to
If
find.
I had a Roman plaque in my possession, I'd be happy. Are you insane? Why would I?
Because if you don't, I'm going to kill you.
Fool.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Okay, let's drop a fresh save so that we can do our run back. That was worth it just for the moment of having Claudius say, "Oh, the golden rule's real." Not Claudius. Malleolus. There you go. Quintius. He really booked it up here, didn't he? Damn. Okay. New day. And what is the plan? Yes, yes.
Salve.
Oh, so you can give him things. Interesting.
Yulia. Oh no.
Ulpius is about to throw him.
But how did you? I'll go.
Is it 2,000 each time? See, I might not have wanted to do that because this might not be the run that I want to do that on. I am going to load in. I just want to be cautious on that. Just make sure I've got enough denarii to live.
Salve, friend.
So we can do that.
Yulia. I'll go.
So my thinking here is that if we can go and stop the assassin ourselves or mess with the assassin, then I can get the assassin to attack Quintius, Malleolus. Which is not good, is it? I assume we've essentially already solved that part then.
What?
I just want to see what happens if we point him in the direction of
Stop right there. I'm...
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
He's not the smartest assassin, is he?
Salve.
We got our bow still. Yeah, we do. really is taking his time, this assassin. Thing is, if we have to start again, it's like no problem because we've just had a fresh start. And we could have stole the Sylphium.
Whatever's in that great temple up there on the bluff, I bet it's worth a fortune.
Welcome.
I wonder where her arm had gone then. Thing is, as well, is if I don't know if it's the sort of game where we want to just have everything done or not. Assassin looks busy. Yeah, because this is going to set off the Golden Rule anyway.
What now?
I'm here for Malleolus. Who might you be?
The name's Domitius. You want to get to Malleolus? You go through me.
Then go through you, I shall.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Oh, okay. They're just talking again.
Everybody run!
Yes, cheers, Galerius. It's good that we can set it back up, though. So, I think our next expedition takes us into the catacombs. I'm already here, mate. I think catacomb crawling is going to have to wait. That's going to be it for today, because it's either go on for another 40 minutes or stop now. So I think it's going to be a stop now job. So we'll save here. And yeah, we can start with Galerius next time. I do wonder about stopping where we did, but there we go. That's the nature of the game. Right, thank you for watching, anyone who has, or watching the upload. Hopefully we shouldn't be too far away from finishing this game. So, brilliant. Catch you later.